Hey guys, it's me, Kelsey, back at One Soul Expression. One's Soul Expression with an S. Okay, I went back and checked. That's how it's going to be now. One's Soul Expression. Okay? You can look me up on Instagram, and I do have a little bit of blogging going on. It's on my Instagram link, one's underscore soul underscore expression. No S on the soul. All right, so today I wanted to kind of pick up where I left off. I'm sure you won't watch these videos in order, but we were kind of talking about the planetary alignments with the super blood wolf moon and the lunar eclipse that all happened within a 2-3 day time frame. January 21st, or 19th, 20th, or like wherever you're at. I'm not really sure, but I knew it was 19, 20, 21st, something. Anyway, maybe I should keep up with that more, some of you guys say, but we only have time for so much, and I'm not really good with remembering exactly like dates and stuff. But I want to pick up where I left off about that, about Leo, and then, like I said, Leo being in my 10th house, which could possibly be in yours. And you can look on, like, cafeastrology.com or astro.com. There's a couple. You can Google it. But I think I really like Astro Twins and, like, Cafe Astrology or Astrology Cafe. I don't know the exact, like, internet or the exact like link. I probably should have said it before, but Google will know what you're talking about. Okay. With that being said, I know that I talk about myself a lot. I have been called conceited, egotistical, or a little just too worried about yourself. I can't think of the right word for that right now, but like superficial, big headed. But that is only from someone else's perception and how depth their mind is, because that would feed me insecurities growing up in a manner that, like people would be like, oh my god, she's so conceited, and say every time they looked at me I was looking in the mirror. Well, yeah, because I was self-conscious. Like, I had braces, which were fine, but I was looking, was there food in my braces? It was hair hanging out of my nose and a booger, or like, as kids, and we wear that cheap makeup, do I have an eye booger that has like all the black caked in the, in the corner? When you're young, you're like going through that, is it called sebaceous or like secretion stage, and like all the oil, like you're super oily, and you'd get that build up there with your cheap oily makeup from your black eyeliner. Anyway, and that's from being insecure. But people who were either narcissistic or had like inner issues, or just like a jealous type of person or whatever, someone who was led by the sheep, they would say those things about you. I'm past that. Okay, from my perspective, I cannot lead you. I cannot give you the right information or lead you in the right direction if I don't know myself. And what person do you know more besides yourself? Seriously. From me evaluating myself with my perspectives and really, looking at the good and looking at the bad, the positives and negatives, and then doing my research and my studies, I'm going to be able to give you a better answer in some manners. There is literally no way that I can talk about this person and use this person for an example, and like literally walk in their shoes and know exactly what they're thinking, and everything else, and know that their deep traumas and the answers to these questions or whatever. But I can do it with myself. And the main thing you're worried about in life, besides maybe your child, is your life. You can't keep everyone else well if you're not well. You can't tell everybody you know if you don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at with evaluating myself. Yes, I'm a little conceited and worried about myself, but that's anybody. You have to be that way. Like, it's almost selfish to tell someone not to be that way, So, you're going to hear me, talk about myself expressively through all of these videos, but it's only because I have, to a pretty good extent, evaluated myself, and I can use myself as an example for you, and you take what resonates with you. You take what sounds right to you, or, however. Okay? But enough about that. Okay, so I had said that with this moon we had, this move with this moon, or with Leo, this planetary movement and the moon, and then Leo being there, and this being like the year of the lion or whatever, and everybody talking about how we need to take big jumps, this and that. Well, I feel like I didn't clarify it in depth, and then I thought, well, I'm just going to do a video about Leo being in your midheaven, which is your 10th house, because I told you this was a big deal for me, and I realized it. I don't even realize it, like, I'm telling you guys about it, like, wow, like, I'm here, I'm doing this right now, but it don't even soak in. For me, I think being an empath is kind of being, like, numb in a manner to protect yourself in every aspect. You get used to it, and so shit never sinks in for me. I mean, shit doesn't sink in. It's going to take a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months before it actually sinks in. And that might be the Libra part, because we're like airheads. Like, we're loving, but then we're like, we have feelings, but we're very logical. It's so weird, like, you're like, how do you feel? And you're like, what do you mean? How? I can tell you what I think. I mean, I think I feel this way. I do feel it, like, so indecisive. So, anyway. With Leo being in my 10th house, and I told you that was like the business sector, leadership sector, and it's like all about, respect, and being who you are, and, Leo's like very loving, very true, like true to yourself, and, it's kind of how you show yourself to the world. Now, it's not like the first house, it's not first impressions, but it's everything that you are, like, from what you weren't. It's like who you're supposed to blossom into. And also, Leo is a humanitarian. I told you guys I was a number 9 in numerology, which is like the humanitarian, who wants to serve the greater good, or, is worried about people. Well, I've always been worried about people. I've been a people pleaser. And I'd said for a while I didn't know, like, what exactly do I want to do as a humanitarian, because I couldn't think of anything that was like a deep soul core. Like, I care about everything, but I couldn't just hit the pinpoint. And then I had an epiphany today. The pinpoint is getting the word out. Like, my humanitarianism, because Leo is in my 10th house, is to raise up people. I told you guys I wasn't a jealous child. I didn't have that type of, negative tendencies of wanting to beat someone up. I literally never said anything mean. I would never say anything mean to hurt someone. I wouldn't have. But I told y'all I'm in a transition, and I did surround myself, with toxicity. I got in that as I got older, and a part of me waking up is my closest friend made me evaluate myself, because that toxicity was in me, and I was like, I was kind of mean. Like, I would say mean jokes. I was like very egotistical, like I was better than everyone else. And I mean, I didn't do it that bad, but I did it a little bit. Now, she also told me to I need to fall off of my high horse. But and there were some things that I did take offense of, but I will say that a lot of stuff she said was to be true, but I don't agree with falling off my high horse, because, I mean, you got to put yourself up there. I feel up there, and you're all supposed to feel that way. And if someone's like, unless it's like just too much, but if someone's really telling you that you're all, you need to take it down a notch, and just like, you really feel like they're attacking you about you being happy and loving yourself, they have issues. Okay, so don't let someone's negativity soak into you, for it be good or bad. Don't let it be like you. Just be balanced, okay? And if someone says something to you, really see both sides and try to figure out if if you're being too much, or if they're being too much about you being too much. Whatever. Anyway. Okay, so with that Leo being in my 10th house, which is my midheaven, and about me feeling insecure in a manner, and then where I am now, like coming out with everything, I had that epiphany about it. And my whole thing is, I've always wanted to lead people in the right direction. I wasn't jealous and this and that. Like I always was. I was inspirational to my friends. A part of me being a Libra is Libras have to. They feel like they always have to have someone with them, like in the workplace or anything in life. And I agree with that. Like life's so much better when you're sharing it with someone, like a partner, whether it's like someone that you just like love and is like your soulmate you want to be on this planet with, or if it's like your soulmate, like your best friend, like just you want an amazing friend and an amazing partner, an amazing family, an amazing child, you want to be with someone that resonates with you, like on every level. So being that way, it would make it a little hard for me in my job sector of what I'm doing, but I'm still pushing through it. But you always want to be around people, and when you're with people, you're an inspiration to them because they inspire you. It inspires you to be with someone and being able to inspire them, and that is how I've been all my life. Any job or any like group that I was in, and this is coming from a subconscious state when I was younger, like high school, college. I would eventually separate myself from it, just not even thinking too deep about like really like I'm tired of the shit and it's done and gone, move on from it, because those people weren't on the same level with me, either intellectually or like emotionally or just like respectfully. So if I couldn't do for them, I would move on from it, even though Libras are like healers, or empaths are like healers, or want to fix the broken. I'm not calling these people broken. I'm just saying if it didn't serve to make me feel like I was making them feel well, or they would fight against me, or we just weren't on the same level, I would go from it. Anyway, so I'm very adaptable. So it wasn't many people. That doesn't happen all the time. But what I'm getting to is with Leo being in the 10th house, and with being a Libra, and with being a number 9, which is the humanitarianism, I really am inspired to work around or with people who are going to inspire me, and who I'm going to inspire them. It's like inspiration is like the key word, okay? Like if I can do it, you can do it. Like, look at this. I did it, and you can do it, and let's do it together, And I've been that way. Also, in other parts of my charts, like I'm kind of a speaker in a way. Now, Uranus is a speaker, but a weird communication wise, and I kind of direct off, and I also think that's from sometimes messages coming through. Like I said, I didn't realize that I might have been channeling, because I do say things out of nowhere, and I wasn't even thinking it, and then I'll look back and be like, God, what does that go with? Even with numbers or whatever, and then it'll be like a message in there. So just wild stuff. Not coincidences, because coincidences only happen so many times. So anyway, Leo in the 10th house. You want to inspire people. You also have to be, and I'm not going to say the center of attention. The center of attention is kind of like more, I think, a cruel word, or like a crude expression, if crude's the right word, like a cruel expression. Just, it's a little too rough around the edges, that expression. I want to say that you want to be like looked up to. Worshipped, I think, is a little too just rough around the edges, because it's not like you don't see yourself as above everyone. Like, you don't want people to like kiss your feet. Like, I don't want you to worship me. I want you to respect me and see who I am, see what I'm doing, and I want you to just be inspired. Like, I want you to like tell me something nice, and Libras also like to hear nice expression. I want expression. Inspiration and expression is like the two best words that I can put with it. If Leo's in your 10th house, like, you thrive off of inspiration, and you have a deep sense of self-expression. You want to, and with the people that you're around or in your work sector or whatever you have going on, wherever you are, you want like it to be a sense of gratitude. You want to be respected. You want someone to express to them your what you have achieved or your goals, because it makes you feel well, like you're doing it right, and it just builds you up. And that's why I also think that a lot of people should really actually study astrology. Like, they say study the Bible. Okay, well, study the Bible too, but you need to add the astrology book on the shelf right next to your Bible. Because if people would just take the time to read about someone's their numerical, like their in numerology, like their numerical number, and if they would just take the time to read like about this person's natal chart, and I don't mean just their birth, I don't mean just their zodiac, I mean their houses, you'll have a better sense of understanding certain things about this person, certain things that this person needs, certain things that this person, don't need, and why they act the way they do. And it just forms a better relationship for everyone. Now, I'm not saying that whole, I'm not saying that every, action you take is going to be directed by that astrological natal chart. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that this was made for a reason. That chart's there for a reason, and there are things in there that you're going to read that if you're having, there's someone that you are attracted to or want to be with, or someone you love, or someone you're having issues with that you just can't understand why they're that way, there will be something in there connected to it. I mean, even to the depths that it's like, this person probably has childhood traumas because it was an unstable family home. And in this aspect, if they'll feel triggered if something like this was to happen or play out later on in life, because you can read a lot about the natal charts, and these are other people's, other astrologers, like, perspectives, and like from reading it, so they kind of put it in a better, more understanding sense, like, with what happens in that sector. It's so hard for me to understand, so hard for me to explain to you guys or to anyone, without you taking a look for yourself. But and what I'm saying, just certain charts, there's certain aspects in there with the family and the home and the business sector, or like child, like things that their home was unstable, this and that, and it will reflect to why they are this way or whatever. Anyway, I'm just saying, if you take the time to do that, you'll be able to better work with people, if you know them, because they might not even know that, but it's there. And like I said, your whole life isn't influenced by it, but there will be key factors in there that will just help you better understand, if you want to understand. Some people don't care. They're just like, whatever, in their minds about the dumbest shit. But however my natal chart's made, I am all about that deep connection and really those intellectual talks. So, anyway, in the charts with Leo, like I said, if you would just take the time to look at everyone's blah, 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 you want to be inspired and respected, and you just want, like, it's a humanitarian thing. Also, this year is the year of the lion, they say, or it's Aquarius year, but because Leo, like, or this first half, whatever, we're still in, like, this Leo season, and we've got this Leo thing going on, I don't remember for how long, and, it's supposed to push you forward and be, you're either going to hold on real tight and, or you're going to, like, shine, basically, in all aspects. This year I'm 27. I turned 27 in October, so this is 9. 7 plus, if you really look at the numbers, 2 plus 7 is 9. So it's like, for me, right, everything, and this is the 7th year too, and everything in my life right now is 7 and 9. It's like those numbers has led up to 7 and 9. that's deep, but I could pull out some papers on you guys, because All of the answers are encrypted out here around us, like Akashic records or whatever. We know we have these tool maps. It's just, I can't even. I'm gonna start sounding like a crazy person because I just can't explain it. Anyway, okay. With this being in my 10th house, it has led up to me being where I am right now, and I find it truly amazing. All that spiritual awakening stuff I've had, and the more my mind's grown, and then where I am right here in the year of like the lion, the super wolf blood moon just happened, and I wanted to know more about my my astrological chart, the 12th houses, and then realizing today that my 10th house was in Leo, and this and that, and then my business, and then really digging deeper, and then really realizing what's happening is like, I'm amazed, and I want to use this as a like, not guided tool map, but I want to use this, I don't know the word for it, this analogy or this situation, or not situation. I want to use what's happening in my life, and tell you guys like what I think and how I feel about it, and talk more about this like Leo in the midheaven thing. I was always inspired to inspire people on a subconscious level, like without realizing it, and I did always look for praise, and not. I looked for praise as it just made me feel good, not because I was higher than people, and that has been what my whole life's been about. And it's like I just now realized it today. I didn't know why I was like I'm a humanitarian and want to serve the greater good, and I'd read it, but there was nothing that really stuck out. Well, boom, it just hit me. It's what I'm doing right now. I told y'all I'm in a big transition in my life. I took off and bought a boutique bus, and then like I got inside and I like put my whole soul, maybe not all of it because like I'm not a millionaire, but I put all like my me into it as with what I could, and still survive. And I'm so proud of it. Leos want to express their self, and they express their self. I'm sorry, Leo's in the 10th house, and if you're a Leo in the 10th house, your midheaven, you are very expressive, and you want to express yourself in like a leader or like authority position, because you got a lot to say and you want to do it for the greater good, and you cannot stand to be around people who intentionally like beat people down to make themselves feel better. Like there's no intention there, okay? And it's took me, 27 years to get to this point that I can really evaluate people around me, that my mind expanded enough that I could be like, why do people do this? Why do they act this way? What, like just why? And come up with a conclusion that makes very logical sense on like a scientific and a spiritual aspect. Okay? I went and I got that bus, and I did all this stuff to it, and like I'm getting out there. It's opening in like 5 or 6 days, and it was because I needed to shine. I had a spiritual awakening. I started realizing who I was, realizing everything that I forgot, and I kept saying for the whole like year. And this awakening took place, like I said, 3 years ago, but this whole like past year, leading up to where I got about 3 months ago or 6 months ago. Or no, I would say really where I am like right now, like in these past couple weeks. Even up to a year ago, I was like, I just need my own space. Like I need to express myself. Like I need to put everything that's like mine on the walls, and I need to put colors, and I need to put my things, and I need my energy to burst out, and I need nobody in it, and I need to find who I am and just express myself. That is the only word that I can give, because it was here. Something was growing here. It was realizing the power that I have here, and I can feel it now when I talk to you guys. The energy, the heart chakra, just realizing that, God, I have a purpose and I can do anything, but I have to start. Like, I've been, I had a great life in Washington, and I told you guys I had a good childhood, and I'll talk more about that because that has to do with being a Leo, because not everyone had a really good childhood. But I'm grateful for all the experiences I had, and it's led me to where I am now, and I'm just super expressive. I felt like, I lived a good life, but I felt like it was kind of like, I won't say senseless, but my mind wasn't all there. Like, my son's almost 4, so I was a mother, and I was more, into taking care of him and worrying about him. I had a very laid back way of being a mother. I was blessed. I didn't have to work, and I just took care of him and worked on my house, and we would go on a walk and shop, and it was just like a simple life. But it wasn't being expressive. And just a little bit like my Instagram, because I've always kind of been expressive on my Instagram, and I was finding myself in that time. But before that, I had been married and was, just exploring Seattle, Tacoma, and working and meeting new people. And really building my people skills, because I've always been a people person, even though I told you I kind of went a little socially awkward or had a little social anxiety. I still do after I had the spiritual awakening, which I think has to do with being like so sensitive to energies, and then having the empath and psychic abilities coming in, and just crazy stuff. But I just I met all these people and I gained these experiences, and then when that Kundalini awakening happened, it happened, and I evaluated myself and come out of my sorrows. I started really growing rapidly, and the sense of self-expression kept building up. There was like more knowledge coming in, more self-evaluation, more evaluating my surroundings, more asking myself, like, what do I want? Who am I? Like, I have this life to live. How am I going to live it? I'm going to live it how I want to live it, even though we have our negative sides where we will get, have a low self-esteem, or like our self-confidence will kind of lower, but we'll pull ourselves out of it. And I will say too that I realize the reason why we do that is because we need like deep, stimulating, intellectual conversation, and have a couple close friends that we can just like sit back and shut our brains off and just talk to these people and create ideas, have some wine, and just chill and create ideas and really connect with someone, and take your mind off of all the worry. When you do that, that pulls you out of the worry. You feel better. You feel inspired. You don't want to have to think or talk about anything else. You sleep well, and then the next day you're fire. That's what I see with that. And I had moved, so there weren't many people that I could do that with. So I really had to be my own friend. I did. I mean, I talked to my friends on the phone, but with what I was going through with an awakening stuff, like people, they do understand, but they don't, and especially if they're not around. So I had to be a lone wolf for a while. I had to figure myself out. I had to turn to God, the divine, meditate, whatever, rest. But I come out of it, and here I am, just a couple days, like a week after we've had this movement, and all these things that I've wanted to do, I'm pursuing them right now. I am here talking to you to build you guys up, to let you know that you can do anything. That, to give you my perspective on some things, because that's what I wanted to do. I told you, I was like, I wanted to share the world of my findings and tell them all these things, and it was so inspirational to me. I felt it. I was so passionate about it, and I still am. And I come to a point to where I was like, writing's taking too long, blogging's taking too long, and I'll always feel the need to lecture someone, so I'm just going to put my face out there, and I'm just going to start telling y'all, like, what I think. And it all ties in with Leo being in my 10th house. And I didn't realize it until today, and I did a little more digging and was like, wow, because it all goes so in depth. I told you, you can't just read 1 through 12, like 2 or 3 paragraphs and be like, okay, you know everything about yourself. But when you have these questions and you go back and you start reading different perspectives, different paragraphs, different, things about it, and then start looking at yourself and putting all these perspectives and facts together, you get a better conclusion. And it takes time. You have to go back, just like when we're in school and they want us to go back and reread this and go back and refresh ourselves. We have to refresh ourselves, so we have to let it soak in. So it's my studies. In the past year, when people ask me what I'm doing, I'm like, I'm doing my studies. I'll call you back. They know I'm not in school, and I could not be in school unless it was like kind of a special one, because I like to cut the small talk and cut the bullshit of all the little extras they try to put in that distracts me from exactly what I want to be on. And I don't even know how all that school stuff works. But anyway, I said college. I went to college for a little while, and I didn't want to go because I knew it wasn't going to work out. My mom was like, just try it. Tried it, and I went to beauty school and graduated doing hair, and I can buy any hair products I want, but I don't even cut hair because I could give a shit less about it. It doesn't interest me. So I have that degree, but I found myself in all of that, so it doesn't even matter. But I don't cut hair. I can sell the products, and I don't care to. So I hardly even get my hair cut. Anyway, so I'm putting myself out there, wanting to give you guys some insight, because there's going to be some things I say, or, if you need to hear something inspirational during the day, like for instance, you're going through something, and every morning you get up, you want to hear someone talk about some stuff that gives you better perspective or a better outlook. Well, might be that person. Just sit the phone down, do your dishes, whatever. But with Leo being in the 10th house, it was all about expressing yourself for the greater good, really bringing people up, hey, if you can do it, I can do it. And a part of that comes from, if Leo's in your 10th house, Aquarius is in your 4th house, and Leo's your highest and Aquarius is your lowest. And not saying there's a negative aspect at it, but it's from being a child to being a grown-up, who you are. From taking things from your childhood and applying it to your future and having a better outcome, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. Because you felt in a manner there was something that, you weren't taught, that you think you should have been taught when you were a kid, or you lacked that in some aspect, and you were going to apply that to your future. Or you're just being rebellious, you're going to take a hold of that. You're going to take what that you think that was lacked from you, and you're gonna empower it yourself. You're gonna you don't need it. You didn't even if you thought at one point in time that's what you lacked, it doesn't matter, because you're gonna fix it, basically, or something in that manner. And I wanted to clarify something about talking about Leo in the 10th house, because I said I had the best childhood. I loved my childhood. I did. I had a really good childhood. But when people are writing or talking about Leo in the 10th house, they don't they kind of specify it too much, say that you kind of had a crappy childhood, or your parents owed you, or one parent didn't care about you and the other one did. No, it's not always like that. I had a great childhood. My parents were separated, and it took me time. My parents were never married. It took me time to realize that they were right, but they were just putting it a little too assertive, you're thinking a little too deep about it, or make you think. Not that they're going to make you think, but I want you to think a little lighter about it, okay? I had a great childhood, but my father did not come into my life until I was 11, fully come into my life, because he's a lot like me in a sense that he was working on himself, and my mom got pregnant with me. They were young, and he had joined the military and was thousands of miles away, and he never really had the opportunity to be my dad. And there was some drama on my side of the family, so it was he was being pulled both ways, because there was also a reason why he couldn't really just barge in as the dad. And it was just a lot of miscommunication, a lot of small thinking, a lot of just worries and fears about the wrong thing. But it all happened for a purpose, because it is why I am the way I am, and you can foresee that shit in your chart. I see it. It's like nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault, is what I'm saying. Like, even if it is their fault here in the 3D world, in the 5D or 7D or whatever beyond that, it really isn't their fault. That we have free will and like a subconscious, and we make the turns that we're supposed to make, following this path, but it can go so many ways. Like it's like your subconscious, like he subconsciously made these decisions kind of because it was like in his chart, like it was supposed to happen, because I told you this is all like a game. Like they're so much smarter than we think. This is just in depth with bones and blood and feelings and pain, and it when they say we're in like this I don't want to say the word wrong, but some kind of reality, like a computer system. Well, I thought that was stupid, but the more I thought about it, it's like, holy shit, we are. This is not a computer system. Don't look at the computer system in the wiring. This is big, because everything's energy. Like this is magic. Like it's amazing. It's enigmatic. Anyway, back to what I was saying. He wasn't present for some things, and I held that against my mom as a child when I got older, which I'm forgiving now. I get it, but because I couldn't put myself in her shoes till I got older. But I mean, it's just, I think someone just knocked on the door. Anyway, but it was inevitable how my life played out, and it's fine. But I felt, that I had, even though I had a great stepdad that raised me, I felt like I had lacked, having this connection with my dad when I got older. And and it was like, that's where that, it wasn't that my parents were codependent on me, but it was like, that's where the issue was there in my life. That wasn't even my dad the factor, just things around it, like that feeling like you had kind of lacked something, or like your parents owed you something, or something in that manner, like it wasn't fair, or because everyone else had both of their parents in a really good connection with their dad. These girls like had a really good connection with their dad, and I didn't until I got older. And I still do, but he's weird like me, I'm weird like him, and we just don't mesh. But anyway, and and like I told you guys, I don't know if I told y'all actually, but my me and my best friend, through my awakening period, got in some fights about me being up on my high horse, and she's what kind of had woke me up. And one of the messages that she sent me sounded like everything I would say about my dad. And that was such a self-evaluation for me, because for like the first 2 weeks I was pissed off. Like I did not want to accept that. And then the more I looked into it, I was like, God, she's right. And I just and I could see, what she was saying. So anyway, that's probably why we don't mesh that well. So with this Leo being in your midheaven, it's like in your childhood there's like that little issue, and you rebel in a way depending on what your first house is. Now I just rebelled on the inside, and I also said like you as me, like an empath or starseed or whatever, a spiritual being, you feel a little different. Like all your life you knew you were different. Well, that has to go, another epiphany I had, that has to go with Leo being in my 10th house as well, because you have a sense of self-expression. You're a little different, and you don't you feel like there's something more, like you that you're, and I don't want to say special, but you are kind of the black sheep. Like that you're kind of separated from others, and that is because there's that you don't know it then, and you could feel insecure about it or whatever, but that's because that's that spark that's in here. And everybody says it. Katy Perry is Leo in the 10th house. I didn't look up, who all these people are. I don't even remember who else is, but everyone knows who she is. And I mean, she's super cute and cool, but I just really don't have time to be worried about anyone that's famous, because I'm always in my studies or in my work. So anyway, if that gives you guys any inspiration to see, like, she even come from her dad's like a pastor, so like you could see the rebellion there of, she probably didn't get all that, like childhood partying and stuff with my kid. Hold on just a minute.